Welcome back. We are going to go over a lot of important things today. It has been a crazy day in the market. We have seen Bitcoin go all the way up to 56,300. That's where it's trading right now, basically at all-time high. And this is a very, very interesting time for Bitcoin. So we're going to go over Bitcoin. Then we're going to go over Ethereum, because while Bitcoin's been going up, Ethereum's been having a little bit of a challenge breaking 2,000. Even though Ethereum itself has put in new all-time highs very, very recently, we haven't seen it cross the psychological barrier of 2,000. So we're looking at that, and we're going to give some time to look at where Ethereum is going and whether or not we're going to see 2,000 in the short term, because a lot of people, including myself, were expecting Ethereum to hit 2,000 weeks ago. So the fact that it hasn't yet tells us that we need to look at it and see if there anything we're missing, what's going on with Ethereum. Then we're going to look at EGLD, and EGLD has actually been having some very interesting movements in the last couple of days, and there's a few indicators that are standing out that we need to look at for EGLD. So we're going to check it out. We're going to see how it's going. We're going to see how things are going with EGLD. And then finally, we're going to take a look at Cardano, which just recently let's take a look at the hourly chart here. Within the hour, EGLD has broken $1 for the first time. In the last hourly candle, it broke over $1. It's trading at $1.05 right now. That is big for EGLD. This has been a huge barrier for EGLD for a while, and you'll see it was trading at the same range since February 10th. It had moved up significantly in the month of February. It went all the way from around 36 cents to $1 now. It hit 99 cents and it didn't break it. Then it consolidated. Now it's moved past $1. So we're going to take a look at EGLD and Cardano, and we're going to see how they're going. Cardano is really doing well. ADA is doing... Oh, did I say EGLD? I'm sorry. So for anyone who's watching this on YouTube later, I'm trying something new now. All my videos on YouTube, they're going to be streamed live on Twitch first, and then I'm going to cut out the portion that we need for YouTube. We'll put that on YouTube, and then we'll have a Q&A on Twitch. So we're going to have both. So sorry, I think I called that. Someone in the chat told me I called that EGLD. I was just talking about Cardano, and Cardano has been sitting at this level of about 96 cents. It had dropped all the way back down to 69 cents, and it's been sitting here for a while. Massive support has been put in, and it broke through. So we're going to take a look at what's next for Cardano. What are we expecting? Why it's going so high? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for the heads up, Texas, in the chat. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and kick it off with Bitcoin. Okay, so with Bitcoin, we've been talking about this for quite some time. We wanted to see Bitcoin cross this green line. These are some trend lines that we've been following for a very long time. If we click on the 4-hour chart, and I'm actually going to disable the moving averages so you can see this. You see these trend lines? We've been following them all the way since December, since the beginning of December, and we actually had a very good ceiling. Now that's become a massive ceiling for us because the ceiling now sits at around 76,000. So that's in play. $76,000 for Bitcoin is in play, which is crazy. And then we have an upwards resistance. This is our next trading channel. For right now, that is sitting at around 63,000, and that is really our next big hurdle, is to cross 60K and hit this resistance line. But even before we do that, we want to see this green line flip to support. We haven't seen that yet. It's acted perfectly as resistance. And the fact that we've been following this since December is pretty awesome, because you can see how accurate it was, right? Throughout this entire run, if we zoom in a little bit here, you can see that this line held super well as resistance. So by doing this chart so long ago, we had a key area that we knew to look at for newer highs. So this really helps us make our decisions on when we may want to buy or sell. So doing chart analysis, it's not always going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to help you out in situations like this. And what we're looking for with Bitcoin is, at what point is it going to come back and test this green line and flip it into support? Because until it does that, until this green line turns into support, there is always the potential of us falling through this green line and going back to around 47,000, which is where the yellow line is. because we know that for a long period of time, that yellow line was significant resistance and we broke right through it. Now, the key reason that a drop like that's possible is because you have to look at the volume. If you look at the right-hand side and you look at the volume between 30,000 and 40,000. It's massive. That's a lot of volume. But if you look at the volume between 42 to 56, the volume is very low. So when the volume is that low, you have a much higher possibility of having a drop back down to the area where the volume support really begins. So seeing this type of correction, it's a possibility, but we're gonna hope that there's resistance here around 48 if this type of downtrend occurs. Now, if this kind of downtrend does occur, we're talking about potentially a 30% drop. And we know that's 100% possible. That's what happened right here, right? We dropped from 41,000 all the way down to 30,000. And if we look at that on the scale, you'll see that that also is about a 30% drop. It's about 27%, exactly like this drop would be. So it's very possible that we see a dip like this. And for anyone looking to get into Bitcoin, it may not be a bad idea to throw a few orders at 45,000, 42,000. I may do that myself just in case it drops that low. Maybe I'll pick up a little bit more Bitcoin at that price. I don't know. I mean, you have to decide if that's something you want to do. But looking at charts gives you targets in that type of nature. So Bitcoin right now, it is still looking very bullish. We don't really know where this pump is going to end. And that's because of the fact that on the right-hand side, we don't have volume. You know, this is what you call a blue sky breakout. There's all blue sky ahead. We don't know where the volume resistance is going to start building. Is it going to start building here and we trade sideways and then we test this green line and then our support goes like this? That's a possibility. That's actually a good possibility. I hope that happens. If it doesn't and people keep FOMOing in, then you could see Bitcoin do something like this and cross over that purple line. Heck, it doesn't even have to be so much like that. It could be more like a straight line up. You could see something like this for Bitcoin, and it could just break 65 and then fall. You get miners selling, you get people selling, and then it could come back to 50,000 as a test. So Bitcoin right now is a little bit of a question mark, but we have to keep watching it because as Bitcoin is moving like this, it is taking funds out of other assets. So that's why you might be seeing EGLD not moving as much. You're seeing GRT is struggling at around $2.10. Aave is down. That's down to around $423. BNB has lost 10%. Binance Coin was sitting earlier today at around $350. That's where it peaked. Roughly 346 is where it peaked. And now it dropped all the way back down to 273. And if you joined my stream earlier today, I told you that Binance was a risky play because right now with Binance moving so high, the Binance Coin, BNB, seeing a drop all the way back down to 145 is possible because that's where the support is. Right? There is barely any support all the way down. You have some minor support sitting at 200, but not really. So with Binance moving so quick, so fast, when people sell, they could push the price down very, very quickly because a lot of people are going to be anticipating a sell-off, right? Because there were really no sell-offs. It was steady here. There was barely any selling here. There was barely any selling here. And all these are green candles. And keep in mind, this is no joke of a run. We're looking at a 4-hour chart. That means in these 4-hour candles, there was barely any selling going on. It was primarily all buying. At a certain point in time, everything corrects. And if we turn on the exponential moving averages, at the very, very minimum, if we start correcting with the BNB coin, you're looking at around $225 right now to be a potential target because that's where the 20 exponential moving average is. So keep that in mind. It's a very big possibility. So you have to keep an eye on that if you're looking at BNB. So I guess we're going over a little bit more today because I'm going to try to go over whatever's interesting right now. Bitcoin's still moving. It's sitting at 56,300 at the time that I'm recording this. So let's move on to Ethereum. All right, with Ethereum, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but the other thing that you need to remember with Ethereum is that Ethereum has been moving in a very cyclical way, okay? It's been moving in cycles, and those cycles have essentially started at this point here. So that's where we're gonna start our analysis. If you see when it breached this 0.5 line on this Fibonacci retracement, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you can see this a bit better. I think that should be a bit better for you. So if you look at this area here, right? Basically, you see that we came up and we started trading in the middle of this channel. Then we dropped back down and tested the 618 line. Then we went all the way up and hit resistance at 382. Then we went back down to the 618 and hit support. So you see these moves are all at the point of these lines. The first one wasn't, it was in the middle, but it technically did flip this as support before it fell through. We also hit the line here. We broke above and we started trading here. Then we went up to the next line and hit resistance. We came back down to the previous line and hit support. We went back up to the next line and hit resistance. Same thing, hit resistance. Came back as support. So because Ethereum has been so cyclical on a Fibonacci, that means that you can expect the same thing as it moves up, which means that if Ethereum does not have a massive move and go past 2000, then the possibility still exists for it to go all the way back to 1830 and potentially even to 1716, which would look something like this, right? Let's say Ethereum has a big sell-off. Ethereum could then easily go back and test this line. Hopefully it gets support at 1830. You would assume it would because of the amount of volume here. You would expect that this line here would become a big line of support. So we should see some support here, at which point it can continue moving up. And you'll notice that this support line now is also exactly where the trend line is in the middle. So if you see the dashed line in the middle, it's exactly at the same point right now for a correction that we would hit here, and we could then keep moving up with this trend line, which you'll see we've been doing, right? We hit the trend line here, we kept going. We hit the trend line down here, we kept going. Here we didn't come as close to hit it, but we know that this trend line is accurate, so it's very possible that you see a move like this with Ethereum. Now that's one option for Ethereum. All right, the other option for Ethereum is that it could finally go into a blue sky breakout. And if that happens with Ethereum, you're looking for movement up above 2000 and then potentially coming back and testing 2000. Ethereum has been very good about coming down and testing levels. It's done that every time. Right here, it was at the 100 exponential moving average on the bottom left of your screen. It went all the way up to this area and it came back and tested this moving average. It went up, came back and tested the moving average. It still has not come back and tested this moving average. So even 1730 is a possibility, but we need to see where it moves. Right now, I don't foresee Ethereum taking a nosedive like this, but I do see it possibly getting to a point when it hits 2000 where it could correct down and hit 1800 again. Maybe not too much further than that. Now, the reason Binance Coin has been doing so well is because of the fact that Pancake Swap, which is like a DeFi exchange where you can swap tokens, has become very popular, and it's all being used on the Binance blockchain. Now, that is actually something that technically Ethereum should be doing. It should be, you know, like Uniswap, which uses the Ethereum blockchain, should be providing these services. But the reason PancakeSwap is doing so well is because the gas fees on Ethereum are massively high. So until those gas fees are fixed, you're going to see other services do better. The question is, at what point does that traffic come back to Ethereum? Because I think once Ethereum fix its gas fees, then you're going to start seeing a lot more activity on Ethereum. And the reason for that is that there has already been a lot more DeFi development on Ethereum. So when the switches can be flipped back on, you can expect Ethereum to have a massive bounce. Now, if in the meantime, some other service comes out and starts stealing market share away from Ethereum, then Ethereum could go down. So it's still a risk like anything else, but because of the fact that Ethereum is the most well-known out of these other blockchains, most retail investors, so anyone who's just coming into crypto for the first time, is more than likely going to invest in Ethereum because they've heard about Ethereum. They know about Ethereum. It has the name recognition. So even though the gas fees are that high, most traders, they don't even care about that because they're buying it on exchanges, waiting to make their gains, and then they're selling. So we can see what happens on it, but right now, what's key for Ethereum is for it to hold this level here. This level here is key. It needs to hold these two moving averages. If it does not hold the 20 exponential moving average, which right now is sitting at around 1900, then it has to hold 1830, which is the 50 exponential moving average. And if Ethereum can't hold that, then it's very possible that if we don't hit support at the 1800 level, that Ethereum could drop back down to around 1720 to 1730. So these are all key levels for Ethereum, and if you go onto the 4-hour Ethereum chart and do a search in TradingView for EMA, turn on the EMA that has the 20, the 50, the 100, and the 200 exponential moving averages. You can click on the settings and you can go in there and change the colors of all the lines, and then if you look up here, you know, when you look at the top left of my screen and you look at the indicator there, it tells you which one is which. So the 20 is the blue one, and then the 50 is the orange one, then the 100 is the aqua one, the 200 is the pink one. Okay, so you can set the colors however you want. Mine are set so when I stream or when I put videos on YouTube, you can see them clearly. All right, so that's what we have with Ethereum. We're going to move on to EGLD. To the people in the chat here on Twitch, I'm going to get with you soon. First, I'm going to do the analysis, and then after that, we're going to have the Q&A. So the Q&A won't be on YouTube. That's going to be specific to Twitch, but all this TA stuff is going to go on YouTube later. So you're getting it live, which is kind of cool. You can see how I do this when I'm doing it live on my own and recording it. Okay, so we go now to EGLD. All right, now with EGLD, the interesting thing is that, and we'll go back to Cardano later. I want to do EGLD first. With EGLD, basically what we're looking at is another descending wedge forming. Now, this is on a much, much smaller time frame. So if we do this, we zoom into EGLD, all right, you can pretty clearly see the pattern, right? If you look at it like this, you have one line going down. We saw this earlier too, so it's kind of important that we look at it and we see how things have changed, and then we can see this line like this. So this descending wedge is very similar to the bigger descending wedge, right? But this is moving down faster. Now the thing with a descending wedge is that it's a bullish pattern. Normally with a descending wedge, when you start hitting the end of it, you break out of it. So normally you would expect something like this to happen out of a descending wedge. You would expect a move out. This move out came from the first descending wedge. Now we've gone into another descending wedge. So seeing another move out from here wouldn't shock me. But are we just going to keep repeating this pattern? I'm not really sure, but I'll be honest with you. I'm in EGLD for a very, very long term. I'm not planning to sell this for many, many years. So because of that, I'm actually really happy to see this, because what we are seeing is this. All right, take a look at the right-hand side of your screen. Look at that volume. Okay, now compare that to the volume that we had when we were sitting at around $80 to $100. Okay, you'll see here that this line, so I'm going to make a line here. That line there is basically where, hang on, that's a terrible line. Let me make a better line. Okay, so this line right here. Okay, so this green line on the right-hand side, we'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. Okay, so that line is where the support ends at 100. And now we are putting in support in this area here, which is massive. That means that this range from 120 all the way up to 180 is now becoming stronger than when we were down to 100. Now, ideally, it would have been great if this area here from 120 to 100, if this had some more support, but this becomes less and less important the more we put support in this area. So this is really good. This means we've had a lot of volume in this range. A lot of people have bought EGLD from 120 to 180. And to be honest with you, not a lot of people have sold, because if you look at the stats for EGLD, you already know that 55% of all EGLD is staked. It's locked up in staking. And the funny thing is, during this entire correction, this correction started on what, the 8th? The 8th of February, I guess you could call, no, maybe not the 8th. It started on, yeah, the 8th. So the 8th into the 9th of February, okay? That's about 10 days ago. So in the last 10 days, I've been looking at the EGLD stats every day. The amount of people staking has not changed. So even though EGLD's been correcting, the people staking, they haven't stopped staking. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that the people that bought EGLD early and started staking it because they realized the potential of the project, they don't care about a correction like this. You know, they're keeping their EGLD, they're staking it, and they're earning more EGLD. And chances are those people are probably the ones that bought it up here, you know, and bought it up here, you know, and bought it up here. You know, they are the ones that are taking advantage of every dip, and it's probably going right into staking. So my assumption would be a month from now, when you look at the staking numbers, it's probably going to be higher than 55%. It'll probably go up to like 57, 58, 59, maybe even 60%. And the more volume that we see being staked is a lot better for the long-term future of EGLD, because that's a big part of the coin. And a lot of people earlier when I streamed were telling me about Orion, which is a another coin. It's ORN, so it's this one here. And basically they were telling me that ORN is partnering with EGLD, with Elrond. So I haven't done my homework on that yet, but I'm going to do the research on it, and I'm going to see how that plays in and how we might be able to look at some of the partners of Elrond and compare their price activity to what's happening with Elrond, so we can judge, is there something going on between the two of them that could tell us when we may see more movement in EGLD, or when we may be able to pick better targets to potentially accumulate more. So right now, if I had this, so one thing we talked about earlier, it's so funny, when we went live on Twitch the first time, that was maybe about 6 hours ago, we saw that Elrond was trading somewhere in this line here. And I told you guys at that point, what we're expecting is to come down and touch the 135 level and then start bouncing up. It's exactly what happened. We touched the 135 level and we dropped down, maybe to 133, and then we started going up. And the reason that was an easy thing to identify is because this is sitting right on the 100 exponential moving average on the 4-hour chart. And if you look at the history, every time we hit this 100 exponential moving average, we wicked and we went up. That's exactly what we did this time. Now the question is, for EGLD, are we going to go sideways and then break out of this descending wedge? Now, descending wedges are interesting because they're normally bullish patterns. When you see this type of pattern, usually it breaks out. That doesn't mean it's going to break out every single time. And we're kind of at a precarious position right now, because if Elrond does decide to drop, the next level of massive support is sitting, hang on, let's go here. You can see the chart a little bit more. There we go. So the next level of massive support is sitting at 100. But don't get too scared right away, because there is a good amount of support all the way from 125 to 135. So the ideal situation is that we see Elrond go up and trade more in this activity and possibly come down to around 125 and then keep trading there. So if you see trading like that, you know, you might be wondering, why is he saying that it would be good if Elrond dropped, right? The reason I'm saying that is because if Elrond did a move like this, it broke out and then it took a dip and came down to 125, what's going to end up happening is the support that's down here at around 130, it's going to become even more. It's going to go like that. And then as we trade up in this area, this support's going to come back up. So as you start having moves like that, and then you end up with a support channel that looks more like this, you know, if it looks more like that, these lines get pushed up even further, there's no more gaps here, then once you break out of this, you're almost guaranteed that you're not going to fall below it. I mean, it's never 100% guarantee, but as far as this chart goes, what I really would love to see is for this entire area to have more support than we had at around 64. Because 64, 65, even 47, these go out a lot more. This means a lot more people bought at this level. I want to see a lot more people buying at this level. If I see a lot more people buying at this level, then that's very indicative that the price is going to keep moving up, because all those people buying, they're unlikely to sell. And it's already starting to move in that direction. So keep that in mind with EGLD. It's looking really bullish the way it is right now, because no matter what chart pattern it's been showing, they've all been bullish patterns. You know, there's something very interesting going on with EGLD, right? It's in the middle of a correction and people don't want to sell. You know, it's still correcting. That tells me that the majority of the people majority of the people selling EGLD right now are A, traders, or B, people who want to switch into something like Bitcoin, either temporarily or even permanently. Because you have to remember, Bitcoin is like the reserve asset. You know, so for anyone who's in an altcoin, if they start to feel scared or they don't know what's going to happen, it's not moving fast enough for them, whatever it is, if they don't know about the project and they're not in it long term, like I've been in Cardano long term, I've been in EGLD long term, Polkadot long term, because I understand the projects. I know that being in these long term is very smart if you believe in decentralized finance. But with a lot of these coins, not everyone knows that. So what do when they get scared? They put their money back into Bitcoin. That's just the typical move. And then you end up seeing Bitcoin doing very, very well. And at the same time now, so many institutions are coming into Bitcoin that Bitcoin is starting to have the next phase of its bull run. And during that phase, you could see the altcoins bleed. So if the altcoins bleed, what I want to see with EGLD is I don't want to see it bleed. I want to see it trade sideways. The longer it trades in this range, anywhere from 125 to 180, the longer it's sitting here, the better. Because then, once we do break out, it's going to be a big breakout. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm in it for. I'm in it long term with the EGLD, and I hope some of you are too. And I know there have been some more questions here in the chat. I'm getting to you guys. Don't worry. I'm going to finish this so that we can upload it to YouTube when we're done. Okay, so the next thing is Cardano. All right, we're going to wrap it up with Cardano. So with Cardano, we're seeing something very, very interesting happening. Cardano has been doing almost the opposite of what a lot of these other assets are doing. I mean, take a look at it. Look at the right. You're starting to learn a little bit more about the VPVR on the right-hand side, all right? So I'm going to show you 2 time frames. I'm going to show you this longer time frame. You can see here that there's a ton of trading volume for Cardano sitting at the 34-cent level, okay? Now, if we zoom out even further and go down, you can see where the majority of trading happened for Cardano. It happened all between 10 cents and 20 cents. This area here, look at how far out these lines go. It was trading here for a long time, okay? And that's not even it. If you go further back, it was really trading in this range for months, you know? So that's why there's so much support down at that level. Now, take a look at the rest of the Cardano chart. When you look at it in this time frame, and you see, I was following Cardano. You see this old Fibonacci that I have on the left of your screen? This is before I even, I don't even know if I was making YouTube videos. Oh, I was. It was 2021. So these videos that I had done on Cardano, we were monitoring Cardano at 25 cents, 30 cents when all this volume was coming in. So if you look now where we are, you'll see that Cardano is actually putting in a good amount of volume on its way up. At 90 cents, there's a decent amount. It does not compare to what's at the 16 cent to 40 cent level. It really doesn't, because it traded at this level for so long. So the amount of support you have here is massive, okay? But the good thing with Cardano is that it traded between 80 to 90 cents for a long enough period of time, so there's a good amount of support here, right? It's built up decent support. The only places it doesn't have a lot of support is down here between 50 and 70 cents. So if Cardano ever does have a correction, if we go into a bear market, if it does not put in significant support at these levels where it is now, then there is always the potential of a bear market showing Cardano dropping all the way down to these levels. But I don't think it would happen, because Cardano is the thing about Cardano is that Cardano is, for the most part, different than a lot of other projects. A lot of other projects aren't run the same way Cardano is. Cardano is run, think of it like a well-oiled machine. You know, they are perfecting the machine before turning it on. Ethereum's different. They turned it on, and now they're like, oh, this needs to be fixed, that needs to be fixed, we need to fix this, we need to fix this. A lot of people are using it, but it has a lot of problems. Cardano's different. Cardano's being put into a phase where it's being perfected, and people are starting to realize the applications of it. A lot of us saw those applications down at around 10 cents. You know, I was buying Cardano at 8 cents, you know, and I never sold it. Why would I? I understood the project. There was no reason to sell Cardano. So I accumulated Cardano at very low levels, and I'm not going to sell it. I still think it's undervalued. Cardano, depending on how much the chain actually picks up with usage over the next few years, Cardano could go much higher than this. So, well, much higher meaning it could easily go anywhere from, you know, during this bull run, it wouldn't shock me if it hits $5, right? Within the next few years, it wouldn't shock me if it hits anywhere from 7 to 10. Now, can it go higher than that? Maybe. It's possible. But the thing with Cardano is it has a massive circulating supply. There's a lot of coins. So with that, the limit of the price becomes a lot lower. It's not going to go to $100, because then the valuation would be massive. It wouldn't make any sense. So at a certain point, I mean, it could go to that. If it ever goes that high, I would consider that a bubble, unless everyone on Earth is using Cardano. You know, so we have to see what happens with it, but I definitely would not be shocked if Cardano in the future during this bull run hits anywhere from $3 to $5, potentially even a little bit more. It's possible, but I'm not going to say that that's 100% yet, because we got to see what's going to happen. But I do think at this very moment, if we go down to the 1 hour chart, the Cardano chart is looking extremely bullish, because what you're seeing here is no joke. All right, look at this pump from 91 cents all the way up to $1.10. Okay, do you see what this is? If you look down here at the buy candles, there was over 20 million, maybe more than that, but maybe about 33 million Cardano bought in 1 hour. In 1 hour, 33 million Cardano was bought in 1 hour. Now, I'm no genius, but I'm assuming that whoever bought that much Cardano within 1 hour, it was probably some type of a coordinated purchase. It was more than likely, either a group of very high net worth individuals, potentially an institution, maybe it was Grayscale. We don't really know who the buyer was, but for it to jump that much in 1 hour, it's indicative of something unique happening. Because if you look at the chart, look at how Cardano's been trading. It's been trading sideways. Hourly candles have basically been staying at low levels. It was trading sideways here. It had no reason to just suddenly jump up that much that quick. It could have had a slow rise, but it didn't. Usually when something like that happens, it's because someone knows something that the rest of us don't, and they don't want to wait. They came in, they made their purchase, and they're good. I wouldn't be shocked if we find out a month from now that some company bought $30 million worth of Cardano or $20 million worth of Cardano when the price was 95 cents. Wouldn't surprise me, because that's what this looks like. I don't understand why you would do it like this. The smart way to buy this would have been to buy it slow, over a longer period of time, more transactions, but you keep the price low. But we never know if that was the purpose or not. So that's what's up with Cardano. With Cardano, I'd be looking at around 95 cents for support. I don't think it's going to go below that. If it does, 88 cents is the massive support line, but I think 95 cents is going to hold as support. And the key to see in the short term with Cardano is how much volume are we going to put in on the right-hand side here. Now, another thing that we can look at with Cardano, if we look at the 4-hour chart, is we can turn on the TD sequential. And I'm going to go back to EGLD, and we're going to take a look at the TD sequential because there's something interesting there too. So if we look at the TD sequential here, this is only sitting at a 5. So in all technicality, ADA Cardano does have some more room to move. So if this pump continues and if more people start buying in because of this, then seeing Cardano in the short term move up to $1.20 or $1.25 is not out of the question. I mean, you could definitely see a big candle like this be followed by more buys and push the price up until you come down and correct, and then you start moving sideways again. So very possible. We got to keep an eye on it, but a lot of people believe that Cardano is not going to go below $1 again. I've been reading that in some places. I don't necessarily know if I believe that. I think everything corrects, but Cardano would have to go much higher for me to think it's never going to go back to $1. I think $1 is in play. That's where our support is. It's in a blue sky breakout. So it could very well go back down there. It's only 5 cents away from where it is now. So we'll keep taking a look at it, and we'll see what happens. All right, so if we go back to EGLD now and we take a look at the chart here. Hang on a second. I actually want to do something with EGLD. So let's go back to EGLD. So I have two separate charts, right? This is my EGLD chart. This is the one I usually follow. This was an uptrend resistance line. So I'm actually going to take these lines here, and I'm going to move them to my other chart. That way you guys can look at them, because you may not have noticed this, but on my YouTube videos, if you go into the description, I have a link to my Bitcoin chart and to my EGLD chart. So my EGLD chart is now saved. So you can always take a look at Bitcoin and EGLD. If you want me to share any more of my charts, let me know, but those are the main two that I share right now. So with EGLD, one thing that's very interesting, okay? I don't know if it's going to play out, but it's very interesting. It's something I wanted to see before, but we didn't. I'm going to turn a few things off so you can see everything. All right, let's turn those off for now. Let's turn this trend line off, this trend line off, turn off this trend line, and we'll turn off the fib. Okay, so if you look at what we're looking at here, let's get rid of this trend line too. So basically on this chart, we're only looking at two things. We're looking at the EGLD chart, but we're looking at the TD sequential indicator, which are the numbers, and we're also looking at the moving averages. Now, the one thing that I see here that's very, very interesting is similar to what we saw back here, right? Before we had a pump up. We are sitting on the 100 exponential moving average. We also have the number 7 on a TD sequential. So if we continue seeing sideways or downside trading here and stay between anywhere from 125 to 135 or 140, anywhere from 125 to 140, I think, we stay between that range. In the next 8 hours, we might end up seeing, it's not even the next 8 hours, it's, this would be in 7, that would be an 8. So yeah, in the next 8 to 12 hours, we could potentially see a 9 flash. Okay, so if you see a red 9, that's a buy signal. I've been waiting to see the red 9 on the 4-hour chart for EGLD. We haven't seen one yet during this correction. But once you see that red 9 on the EGLD 4-hour chart during this correction, that's a sign that we may need to get ready for this correction to reverse. So keep an eye out for it. We could potentially see it in the next 12 hours. I don't know if we will. If we break out of this early, then we're not going to see it. But if we keep consolidating and go sideways, then we very well could see a red 9. And you can see what happened here. We saw the red 8, and then people started buying. And I honestly think a lot of that was probably traders, because in the next candle, it shot all the way up, right, to 160 until it dipped back down to around 143, and then we started trading up again. So I think what happened here is that people saw that the red 9 was going to flash, traders saw it, and they tried to get ahead of it and started buying, and that's what pushed the price up. That's my thought. It's very common. I've seen it happen a lot before, so it could have happened again. So we'll see if something like that happens again to confirm it. But at this point, there's 2 key levels for Cardano. Number 1 is that we cross over the 150 level. That's basically right where these moving averages are. So you can see we have these 2 moving averages. We've had a bearish cross on them, but these crosses don't mean anything unless the blue line ever comes down and touches the aqua line. So if you ever see the 20 exponential moving average come down and touch the 100, that's a very bearish signal. So basically, if this keeps moving down like this, that's not good. That's bad. You don't want to see that 20 exponential moving average ever cross below the 100 exponential moving average. Bad sign. Right now, that's not happening, and the cross between the 20 and the 50 doesn't really matter, because these are considered neutral crosses. They don't really mean anything until the 20 crosses back over, then you know that it's fine. So if you keep seeing the 20 go down, that could be worrisome, but right now we're not seeing that. So what I really want to see with EGLD right now is I want to see that green or that red 9 flash. And if that red 9 flashes, I think things are going to get really interesting. So keep an eye on that. That's 8 to 12 hours away, so you might see it tomorrow morning. If you're watching this on YouTube in the morning, then take a look at the chart. You have the link in my description, and see if that red 9 is there, because things could get interesting if it is. On the downside, basically what we're looking at is we're looking to have a lot of support at around 125 if we fall down to that level. If we drop below 125 and we hit this area where there's not a lot of support, that's when we can have a bigger drop. And if we do have a bigger drop there, then we're expecting that we're not going to go below around 110 to 108. That area there is where we have our 200 exponential moving average. And you can see the last time we dropped down that far, we got bought up very, very fast. So in the event that that happens again, expect that we likely will not go below 108. 108, I think, is the total bottom, but I'm starting to think that it's unlikely that that happens. I still have some low buy orders sitting there just in case, but for the most part, I think that we're looking at around 125 as a temporary bottom for now, but we need to see this turnaround. The key is to see it turn and gain support, and then we want to see it come back down and build up the support on the right side like I told you about. Okay, so that's basically how things are looking now. We're going to keep an eye on everything. We'll probably do another stream on Sunday, and tomorrow I'll try to give you some updates on Twitter. If I have time to stream tomorrow, then I might. So you might get another Twitch stream. You might get another YouTube video. So make sure you follow me here on twitch.tv/cryptodiv. Sorry, twitch.tv/crypto_div. It's the same as my Twitter handle, so make sure you follow me there too. And youtube.com/divxman. Make sure you follow me there. Thank you for joining me on the YouTube side. I appreciate you guys, and we're going to move on to the Twitch live Q&A. So if you ever want to join a Q&A after one of these videos, make sure that you check out my streams live on Twitch. You will see all the information you need about them on my Twitter. Follow me there, and you'll know when I'm going live. Eventually, I'll have a schedule. I just haven't figured that all out yet. So YouTube people, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. I'll catch you next time. Peace.